The way I met Chloe Lynn was a little strange. In 2022, I was scrolling online when I came across her post. A dating profile, really. It said, looking for a relationship with the intention of marriage. If you're just trying to mess around, get lost. I thought it was interesting, so I slid into her DMs. After a few days of chatting, we decided to meet up at a coffee shop. When I got there, I only saw one guy and one girl inside. I ordered 2 lattes and sat down at the table next to them. While I waited for my order, I couldn't help but overhear their conversation. It was wild. The girl said, I want to get married, but we can't have sex. As compensation, when I die, you can have whatever's left of my inheritance. The guy's eyes lit up. How much? The girl didn't say anything, just held up 5 fingers. Whoa, 5 million, the guy exclaimed. She looked embarrassed. 50,000. Are you sick in the head? You're wasting my time. The guy stormed out, slamming the door behind him. The girl pulled out her phone, tapped the screen a couple of times, and said, Hey, sorry about that. I sent you some money for gas. You can accept it now. I was dying to know if he took it. But more than that, I was fascinated by her. Still, I'm a man of principles. I was here to meet someone, and I couldn't get distracted. Stay focused, stay focused. The coffee was ready soon, but the girl didn't leave. A little while later, another man showed up to meet her. A much older man. He said, You're very pretty. You don't look like your pictures. I know, she said, but let's just get straight to the point. Go ahead. We've already introduced ourselves, so I won't repeat our names and ages. The main reason for meeting today is to get to know each other and for me to explain what I'm looking for. I want to get married. The sooner, the better. The man jumped in. Great, I feel the same way. Let me tell you about myself. I'm a New Yorker, born and bred, divorced, with 2 daughters. But my mother says the family name has to be carried on by a son. So if we get married, we have to have a boy. About that. If we get married, I don't want to have sex. The man flew into a rage. Are you fucking crazy? You look young, but you've got some nerve. Are you trying to scam me for a green card or something? Do you think I'm a goddamn idiot? Fuck. He then grabbed the leftover coffee from the previous guy and threw it at her. I jumped back to avoid the splash. Luckily, there wasn't much left in the cup. And just like that, the second guy was gone, muttering curses as he walked away. The cafe fell silent. With the drama over, time started to drag. I was getting impatient, so I pulled out my phone to call the woman I was supposed to meet. The phone of the girl next to me started ringing. Our eyes met. We just stared at each other, completely stunned. I didn't believe it, so I hung up and called again. The same thing happened. A wave of excitement hit me, but I kept my face neutral. Are you Chloe Lynn? I asked. Are you Ethan Vance? She replied. Yeah, that's me. Hi. We said it at the same time. I felt bad for not recognizing her, but it wasn't entirely my fault. We had agreed not to exchange photos to keep things interesting. Of course, she had agreed to it too. I felt a little awkward. Chloe wasn't ugly, but compared to the stream of beautiful women I usually dated, she was a little plain. It didn't matter, though. My only real hope was that she didn't look like a total disaster. As it turned out, she was actually quite pretty. Not bad at all. Having just witnessed that whole spectacle, she was probably feeling pretty mortified. She started by apologizing. I'm sorry about that. I was about to say it was no big deal when she hit me with another shocker. Listen, I've got another guy scheduled after this, so we should probably speed things up. My mouth twitched. This woman was a real piece of work. Ethan, even though we've talked, let me introduce myself again. She sat up straight and cleared her throat. My name is Chloe Lynn. I'm 22. I have a younger brother. Then she glanced around and lowered her voice. I want to get married, and I don't want to have sex. But if we start by dating, I guess. That could be okay. I found this amusing. I thought you said you couldn't have sex. She didn't seem to understand, tilting her head at me. With that guy from before. The New Yorker. Oh, she said, the realization dawning on her. You heard all that. Well, he was kind of ugly. I'm not about to throw myself away on him and pay for the privilege. Huh? What do you mean? I mean, you're handsome, so I wouldn't be getting the short end of the stick, Chloe said, gesturing to her own face. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. So you're judging by looks now? Of course. You don't even know my real name, and you dare marry me? Are you kidding? Isn't it Ethan Vance? I give up. What else do you know about me? My age? My family? Didn't you say you were 24? As for the other stuff, you can tell me now. I'll write it down. Seriously. You're only 22. Why are you so desperate to get married? Are you really 22? Yes, I am. I even brought my ID. I can show you. She started digging through her canvas tote bag, but it wasn't there. She popped off her phone case. Nothing. Finally, she found it in her pants pocket and pulled it out. Whoa, I don't doubt your age. You don't have to show me. She finally put it away, her eyes still fixed on me. Ahem. Let me introduce myself properly. My name is Ethan Vance. That's correct. But I'm 27 this year, not 24. That's not important. I don't care, as long as you'll marry me. What's in it for me? Of course there are benefits. Look, I'm not ugly, I'm not short. And don't worry, I won't take up too much of your time. I'm not dramatic, I'm hardworking, and you won't have to spend money on me. You should consider it. Okay, let's get married. I don't need to consider it. For real. Khloe looked like she'd just seen a ghost. So we go get the license now. No, that's too fast. Let's try things out first. If it works, we'll get married. How about 6 months? Too long. 3 months, then. She thought for a moment. Deal. And just like that, we were dating. It's pretty bizarre, right? Sometimes I think we both must have gotten dropped on our heads. Or maybe we're both just crazy. The second our relationship was official, Khloe picked up her phone. Hey, sorry, you don't have to come anymore. I found someone. I'm sending you some cash for your trouble. So sorry about that. She put her phone down and said to me, it's almost noon. Let me buy you lunch. Sure. She took me to a popular hot pot restaurant. Khloe had the same habit as me. A pot divided into 4 sections, one with a tomato broth for sipping and one with a spicy broth for cooking the food. I didn't know many people who did that. I felt like I'd found a kindred spirit and smiled. Khloe might have misunderstood. She explained, a little embarrassed, it's cheaper this way. I'm used to it. It's okay, me too. The food came quickly. In the middle of the meal, she went to the restroom. When we were about done, I was about to pay, but the server told me the bill had already been taken care of. If I were any other guy, I would have been thrilled about a free meal. But who am I? I'm the youngest son of the Vance family. This was like a slap in the face. She didn't seem to care. She just said a quick goodbye, grabbed her things, and left. We exchanged numbers and texted from time to time. Khloe was a lively person with a lot to say. She'd share her cooking adventures with me and remind me to grab a jacket if the weather was turning. The roles felt reversed. I was older, but in front of her, the mature, composed demeanor I was so proud of felt completely worthless. Damn it. But the feeling was actually pretty good. Not good enough to make me fall head over heels for her, though. 2 days later, I was with Amber. After buying her the latest Chanel bag, we were back at a new hotel, and I was waiting on the bed for her to finish her shower. I was scrolling through my phone and saw Khloe's Instagram story. She posted a picture of some fancy cronut. I replied to it. Is it good? She replied instantly. Delicious. Want one? I ignored her. A beautiful woman was right there with me. Who had time for some kid? Later, bored, I sent Khloe a message asking where she was. The little brat didn't reply. TCH, hold a grudge, huh? Whatever. Time for sleep. I was exhausted from the day. When I woke up the next morning, the other side of the bed was empty. These materialistic women, they always leave without a word. I had a new message on my phone, sent at 3 in the morning. It was from Khloe. Just finished up with a work dinner. On my way home now. I didn't reply. I got up, got dressed, and went to the front desk to check out. As I was driving away, I remember Khloe had said she worked nearby. I decided to drop by and see her. Khloe, where are you? I'm coming to see you. At work. When will you be here? Almost there. Okay, wait for me outside the coffee shop where we first met. On my way. I didn't wait outside. I went in and ordered 2 coffees. About half an hour later, she came running out, standing in front of the coffee shop and looking around. I felt a little mischievous and just sat there, watching her from inside. After a few minutes, I couldn't take it anymore and was about to message her. I guess she was blocking a delivery guy because he nudged her as she glanced backward, finally spotting me chilling inside. She rolled her eyes and came in. Why didn't you say you were in here? I thought you were dead or something. What the? I almost spit out my coffee. Damn, this girl was wild. I'm still on the clock, and I'm the only one at the shop, so I can't stay. But I can get off early tonight. If you're free, we can get dinner. Sure. What do you want to eat? Hot pot? Same place as last time. Hot pot twice in 1 month. Khloe jogged off. I looked at the untouched coffee on her side of the table and found it interesting. Maybe she was playing hard to get. Well, I had plenty of time. I could play along. That evening, I showed up as promised. The hot pot place was packed, so I had to wait in line for Khloe. But she walked right up and let me inside. I swear, it was the first time I'd ever been so impressed by a woman. It felt so triumphant, walking past all the people waiting for a table like a general returning from a victorious battle. And I was the general's loyal sidekick. I asked her how she got in without a reservation. She said, "Are you dumb? You just have to book in advance." Oh, so that's how it worked. We ordered pretty much the same things as last time, and I noticed that Khloe could really eat. They gave us a complimentary fruit platter, and most of the dishes we ordered ended up in her stomach. Just as we were enjoying our meal, I ran into someone I knew, Amber. That little vixen came right up, wrapped her arms around my neck, and planted a kiss on my cheek. Ethan, long time no see. Why haven't you been around lately? Weren't we just tangled up in bed together yesterday? What did she mean, long time no see? I could only manage a weak laugh and pray she would leave quickly. After all, we were in a public place, and I had some dignity to maintain. If these two women started a scene, I would just die. Well, Mr. Vance. Playing it cool now, are we? No. I'm just in the middle of something. I'll hit you up later. Hearing that, Amber finally walked away, albeit reluctantly. I glanced guiltily at Khloe across the table. Even though I wasn't in love with her, we were technically in a relationship. But she didn't say a single word for the rest of the meal. All women get jealous. I couldn't believe she was indifferent, especially since we were official. She stayed silent, and I was worried she was bottling up her anger and would make herself sick. As we were leaving, I asked if there was anything she wanted to say to me. She said, "Not really. Just be careful you don't catch anything. And watch your back." With that, she flipped her hair and walked away. I offered to give her a ride, but she refused. Seriously, that was the most bizarre way of showing jealousy I'd ever seen. But I liked it. After that night, she seemed to get really busy. We only talked occasionally. At the end of June, she updated her Instagram story. It looked like she was quitting her job and saying goodbye. We didn't talk at all in July or August, but she started posting a lot more frequently. Pictures from all over the country. I liked and commented on every single one, hoping she would remember me, her fiancé-to-be. Finally, in mid-November, she contacted me, but she was crying when she spoke. Hearing her like that, a protective instinct kicked in. "Are you in New York?" I asked. "No, I'm back home." "When did you go back?" "I came back in July." She hadn't been in New York since July, and her boyfriend, was only finding out in November. It was pretty pathetic. Khloe sounded like she was going through a tough time. The usual sparkle was gone from her voice. I suggested she come back to New York and stay at my place. To my surprise, she agreed. I drove to pick her up, and we didn't say a word the whole way. Khloe didn't look as vibrant as she had in the spring. Her skin was sallow, her eyes were swollen, and her hair was a mess. She looked completely broken. I'd always had a soft spot for Khloe, and seeing her like this, I was willing to put in some effort to help. The first night we lived together, we slept in separate rooms. I remembered her as an outgoing person, but now she was quiet and withdrawn all day. I thought maybe she was just having a rough patch and would bounce back in a few days. But more than 2 weeks went by, and she was still the same. I couldn't stand it anymore and decided to talk to her the next day. I had plans with some friends, so I got home late that night. Usually, Khloe would have been asleep by then. I tiptoed in and closed the door, and as I passed her room, I heard her talking. It's not my fault I was eavesdropping, really. Okay, fine. I admit it was because she'd been so cold to me lately. The door was slightly ajar, and I saw her wiping away tears. She probably didn't know I was home, so she wasn't keeping her voice down. "I'm in New York, and I'm never going back. You can all just pretend I'm dead." I don't know what the person on the other end said, but Khloe suddenly lost it. No money, no money. I don't have a single cent." Then she threw her phone toward the door. I didn't expect to suddenly be in a line of fire. I ducked, and in my panic, I bumped into the large cause figure next to the door. She must have thought the noise was her phone hitting something outside, because she came out to look. I was struggling to pull the damn thing upright. "You're back?" Khloe asked, her voice thick with emotion. "Yeah, I'm back." We hadn't really talked in days, and I didn't expect our next conversation to be like this. I'm terrible at comforting people, so I could only awkwardly change the subject. "Have you eaten, Khloe? Do you want some water? Why are you still awake?" I almost laughed at myself by the end. I had just seen the whole thing, and now I was asking her why she wasn't asleep. It was completely ridiculous. As I stood there, completely lost, Khloe suddenly smiled. She looked incredibly cute when she smiled. I swear I'm not lying. Ahem, back to the point. Khloe looked at me with tear-filled eyes. "You're back? Have you eaten?" I usually don't eat at night, but at that moment I said, "No, I'm a little hungry." I want to spend more time with her, so I was looking for an excuse. Khloe was very accommodating. She turned and went to the kitchen to make food. My plan was working perfectly. The fridge was empty, so she would definitely have to go to the grocery store. I would go with her, we could cook together when we got back, and I could comfort her on the way. She would definitely think I was a great guy and fall for me. It's not that I'm devious, but having this person around all day without being able to touch her was seriously frustrating. And I couldn't just force myself on her. That wasn't my style. I'd already put on my jacket, ready to go, when Khloe came out holding a bowl of ramen. "You're going out again this late?" Oh, no. This is all I had. Hope you don't mind." It was so awkward. Who knew that in the few minutes I was daydreaming? She had already made food. I could only bury my face in the bowl to hide my embarrassment. But damn, this ramen was delicious. No joke, I drank every last drop of the broth. After that night, the distance between Khloe and me started to shrink. She would make me late-night snacks and prepare breakfast in the morning. I didn't have many women this thoughtful in my life. If only she could be my real girlfriend. I mean, she already was, but something was still missing. I still went out early and came back late every day. I couldn't believe she couldn't smell the different perfumes on me, but she never asked a thing. She just kept cooking and cleaning the house for me every day. It was driving me crazy. After all this, she wouldn't even ask me where I'd been. She just didn't ask, and it pissed me off so much that I decided to just stay home every day. One night, after dinner, I went back to my room. Khloe was still cleaning up outside. I felt sleepy and passed out before I knew it. That was unusual. I'm a very light sleeper, and the smallest noise can wake me up. I don't know what happened. I woke up in the middle of the night, needing to use the bathroom. The light was still on in Khloe's room, and the door was open. She was on the bed wearing a mask, looking like she was fast asleep. That silly girl. She wasn't even afraid I'd take advantage of her. I was about to close the door for her. "Don't move." Khloe sat up in bed and took off her mask. She looked at me, her eyes as red as a rabbit's. "Oh, it's you. Why are you still up?" I had to go to the bathroom." "I see. Don't worry about me. I wasn't asleep." Something was wrong with Khloe. Even an idiot like me could see that. She would sit in the living room in the middle of the night, just sitting there in the dark. I came home late once and ran into her, and it almost scared me to death. At the time, she said she couldn't sleep and just came out to sit for a while. But who the hell sits in the living room in the middle of the night with all the lights off? A young woman, all alone. Wasn't she scared? I started paying closer attention to her. At first, I just noticed she was taking a lot of medication. Then I realized she had insomnia almost every night because she would always be sitting on the living room sofa whenever she couldn't sleep. It got to the point where I was too scared to even go to the bathroom. And the thing was, it was so hot in my apartment, but Khloe always wore long sleeves. It's not what you think. I'm not a pervert, just listen. I had security cameras installed in my apartment. I didn't come here often before, so I had forgotten about them. I only just remembered. After I noticed all these things, I was afraid she was a ghost or something. So I secretly checked the security footage. At first, everything was normal. Then, one time when she was cooking, Khloe suddenly took the knife and made 2 cuts on her arm. I was stunned. From the force she used, she definitely drew blood. But she didn't seem to care. She put the knife down, went to treat the wound, and then continued cooking. Her movements were practiced. It was like that almost every day after that. I went to her room to talk to her and accidentally saw a depression screening test on her bed. The results showed a depression index of 94, diagnosed as severe depression with serious self-harm behavior. She came in from the balcony and saw me. "Do you need something?" My mind was a mess. "Yes, I want to talk to you." "Good, me too. You go first." Khloe told me she had depression, had for years, and it probably couldn't be cured. She was already preparing for her own death. The post she put online was to find someone to marry who would handle her funeral arrangements. She had already approached many people before me, and they had all cursed her out. I thought of the 2 men from the day we met, and it all made sense. She said I was the only one who was willing to hear her out and even agreed to be with her. My heart broke listening to her. How could someone so lively and cheerful have this kind of illness? Why couldn't her family handle her affairs? My questions were answered one by one. I wanted her to give herself a chance, but Khloe was unwilling. Or rather, she really couldn't hold on any longer. That day, for the first time, she lost control in front of me. She said, "Thank you, but I really can't find a reason to keep living." In the end, we made a pact, a 3-month period. If, at the end of it, she was still as despondent as she was now, then I would fulfill our agreement to take care of her body. I canceled all my plans, big and small, and stayed home to be with her. We went everywhere together, practically inseparable. After a while, everyone in the neighborhood knew Khloe was my girlfriend. They all said we were a great couple. It made me happy. Khloe was a fiercely independent person. Anything she could do herself, she would never ask for help. When the elevator was out of service and we ran out of water, she went downstairs, bought a 5-gallon jug, and somehow hauled it up the stairs by herself. At the grocery store, if something was on a shelf she couldn't reach, she wouldn't ask me to get it for her. She'd just decide she didn't need it. One time, she was cooking and realized she was missing something. She called out, "Ethan," but right after saying my name, she immediately apologized. "Sorry, never mind, I'll get myself." You don't have to. She didn't need to be like that. It was a simple thing. Why was she so sorry? Later, I was talking to a friend about horoscopes and personalities, and my friend said that some people aren't just strong-willed. They're terrified of being indebted to others. So they draw clear boundaries from the start and never cross the lines they've set in their own minds. When she said that, all I could see was Khloe's face. The girl who could do anything, yet seemed so pitiful. It turned out she wasn't just independent. She was using that exterior to hide how fragile she was inside. It broke my heart. After that, I started trying to do everything around the house. I'll do the laundry. I'll cook. I'll hang the clothes to dry. I'll carry the water. Of course, in the end, she usually had to come and clean up my messes. Heh, it was a little embarrassing. But through my persistent efforts, I did see some significant results. Khloe started telling me about her past, stories she had never told anyone else. I thought I might have found the secret to Khloe. Her silence, her forced strength. A flower that wilts before it has a chance to bloom is never the flower's fault. I thought I had found the root of the problem. I wanted to help her bloom again, but I underestimated her resolve. Khloe started pushing me to get married. This was not a good sign. I wanted to marry her, to see her in a white wedding dress, to walk with her into a church, to introduce her to all my friends and family. I wanted to go on a honeymoon with her to Paris, a place we both dreamed of. We would have a child. We would grow old together, hand in hand. But not now. I had already fallen in love with Khloe. I just hadn't told her yet. I couldn't let her leave me. I poured all my energy into her. I wished there were 25 hours in a day so I could spend them all with her. Khloe was happy. The smile on her face was brighter than before, and the crow's feet at the corners of her eyes were deeper. Thinking about it, I realized I had never introduced Khloe to my friends, never taken her out for a nice dinner, never even bought her a single gift. That wasn't right. I couldn't be so cheap with my own girlfriend. I burst into Khloe's room. "Khloe, let's go shopping." She looked completely startled. "Where?" "Don't worry about that. Get ready in 20 minutes. You're coming with me." I waited for her in the living room. Khloe was surprisingly fast. She wore a black windbreaker, jeans, and a pair of white snow boots with her long hair down. I had to admit, she was way more beautiful than Amber. More importantly, Khloe had this energy about her, something you just couldn't ignore. We went to high-end boutiques first. I was ready to buy her everything my other girlfriends had. Handbags, clothes, all of it. But Khloe wasn't like other women. She didn't want a single thing I offered to buy her. When I asked why, she said, "I wouldn't use any of it. You should save your money." What the hell? Did she not know that money was the only thing I had? I insisted she take something, but she insisted she wouldn't. In the end, her persistence won. She didn't accept a single thing. I was getting frustrated. It was the first time a gift from me had been rejected, and it was a blow to my ego. But then Khloe said, "If you're so desperate to spend money, then take me out to dinner. I want something nice. No hot pot." All right. I knew this woman was different. Khloe didn't like going out much, so I stayed home with her. That night, I bought a few bottles of cocktails from downstairs. We drank together, and Khloe got drunk. She said a lot. Or maybe she wasn't drunk at all. She was arranging her own funeral. She said, "Thank you for everything you've done. I know what you're trying to do, but I've been struggling for a long time. Sometimes I wonder if things would be different if I had met you sooner. But in my life, there are no what-ifs." Khloe's family favored her brother over her. She was the oldest, with a younger brother, and no one had ever asked her what she liked or cared about. She was sent to boarding school at the age of 7 and stayed there until she dropped out of high school to work. She would go home on Friday evenings and be back at school by Sunday afternoon, but she'd barely see her family. In the summer, her parents were out working in the fields, and in the winter, they were at the mahjong parlor. Khloe had parents, but she lived like an orphan. Later, when her family's financial situation improved, she thought things would finally get better. But then her parents had her brother, and all their attention was focused on the younger child. She was even more neglected. In 2019, she came to New York to work, but she didn't even have money for the bus ticket. When she asked her parents, they said they didn't have any. But as soon as she got settled, she had to start sending money back home. Just hearing about it was suffocating. How much pain and helplessness must Khloe have endured all these years? A few days later, Khloe's parents came from Wyoming for a medical visit. Her dad was a real piece of work. He came from medical treatment without a single dollar. He complained that the apartment they rented in the city was too small and too expensive. Then, right in front of Khloe, he started talking about her cousin. "You know, Khloe, you're not doing so well. Your cousin makes hundreds of thousands a year. Last time your uncle visited him, he stayed in a fancy hotel." Khloe's expression didn't change. "My cousin went to a private school that cost tens of thousands a year. While I was in school, you complained that $20 a week for allowance was too much. Besides, my cousin isn't a pyramid scheme. I've told you that a dozen times." Her dad looked completely unfazed and instead blamed her for being disrespectful and always talking back. Until her dad was fully recovered, Khloe was the one running around taking care of everything. But her parents didn't have a single good word to say. Before they left, they even demanded money from her. She refused to give them any, and they ended up hitting her. The nurses and doctors at the hospital had to intervene. Her dad just said, "A daughter's going to get married and leave anyway. What does she need so much money for? It's better to save it for our son's wedding fund." But all that money was what Khloe had earned through her own hard work. After they left, Khloe became even more withdrawn. I understood then that I had to let go. We started preparing for the wedding. She said her birth certificate was back home, so she had to make a trip back. I offered to go with her. Khloe's hometown was in Wyoming. She had told her parents we were coming, but we still had to wait outside their house for about an hour because they were at the casino. The smell of cheap cigarettes from the corner store was making my eyes water, so we just had to wait by the door. When we finally got inside, she said we were getting married and she needed her documents. Her dad didn't ask a single question, just demanded a $30,000 payment. It wasn't that I didn't have the money. It was that if my daughter suddenly told me she was getting married, I would want to ask about the guy, where they planned to live, to understand the situation. I wouldn't just demand money without asking anything. This didn't feel like marrying off a daughter. It felt like selling one. They started arguing again. Khloe refused to give them the money, and her parents wouldn't budge. After a few days of stalemate, Khloe dragged me to the local county clerk's office, and we got married. Then we went back to New York together. I thought everything was settled, but a few days later, I received a court summons. Khloe's parents were suing her for failing to provide financial support. But I remembered her dad was 47 and her mom was only 40. I went back with her to deal with it and even hired a lawyer. Maybe the other side got scared, or maybe they had a sudden attack of conscience, but they ended up settling out of court. I found out later that Khloe had put $5,000 on her credit card to pay them off, so they would agree to settle. Khloe and I started sleeping in the same bed, but she cried every night. She thought I didn't know, but I knew everything. I knew she couldn't sleep, that she went out to the balcony every night and stood there until just before her alarm went off, when she would slip back into bed next to me. I knew she was still cutting her arms with a knife, that she was still taking handfuls of pills. I knew she was struggling in agony, powerless as she watched herself sink deeper. But I couldn't say anything. I wasn't her. I didn't know how she had survived all these years. Every scar on her body was proof of her fight to save herself. But I couldn't help her. I could only watch the person I loved fade away, bit by bit, and I was completely powerless. Khloe told me that she was lucky to have met me at the end of her life. She said if I had shown up sooner, she would have fallen in love with me. But I hadn't told her yet that I had already fallen in love with her. I couldn't say it. Khloe hated owing people anything. I was afraid that if I told her, she wouldn't be able to let go. Khloe was lying in bed, quiet, just like she always was, but the scars on her left wrist were impossible to hide, and the floor was stained red. She would never again try to save me money or cook for me. Khloe, you damn woman, didn't you say you wouldn't leave without saying goodbye? What is this now? I sat on the bedroom floor, clutching a bottle of liquor. All traces of her had been cleaned away, but the memories in my mind were becoming clearer every day. Before she left, she had arranged everything so neatly. But she had left me behind. Khloe, you can't just leave me. You can't. On the third day after Khloe was gone, I tried to go with her. The attempt failed, and I was sent to the hospital. A friend of hers brought me a letter. Only then did I know. That silly girl. It turned out she felt the same way about me. But Khloe wrote, Ethan, our meeting was a beautiful tragedy from the start. Yes, before we even met, Khloe had already imagined this day. I can't bear to think about it. How could a living, breathing person plan all of this? What kind of state of mind must she have been in to leave herself no way out? From the very beginning, she was determined to die. Even though she had tried to fight, in the end, it was all for nothing. Khloe, you went through so much. In the next life, let's meet sooner.